Hello students, welcome to the second lecture on relations. In the previous lecture, we have understood the basic concepts of relations. Just to have a recap, the Cartesian product of two set A and B is the set of ordered pairs where the first element of the pair comes from the set A and the second element comes from the pair from the set B. Then the relation is a subset of the Cartesian product. That means it is also a set of ordered pairs where the first element is coming from the first set and the second element is coming from the second set, but with the addition that the two elements of each pair are related to each other or are linked to each other in some manner. Then in the previous lecture we also saw the concept of domain and range of the relation. The domain was the set of all the first elements of all the pairs that make up the relation, and the range is the set of all the second elements from all the pairs that are making up the relation. We have also seen that a relation can be defined on two sets, or a relation can be defined on a single set also. We also saw that relation inherently, as they are sets, so all the set theoretical operations can also be performed on relations also, like we can have union, intersection, difference, symmetric different, etc. of the relations. We also saw certain specific types of relations like universal relation, which was nothing but the Cartesian product, null relation, which is a relation which does not have any pairs. We also saw the inverse of a relation. Inverse of a relation is having the same pairs as the original relation, but the first and the second element are interchanged. What it means is, if the original relation is defined from A to B, then the inverse relation is always defined from B to A. Then we also saw the complement of the relation. Complement of the relation means basically the pairs which are present in the Cartesian product but not in the original relation. One important set that we discussed was the identity relation. The identity relation is defined on a single set, and identity relation contains only the pairs where each element of the set is related to itself. Say for example, if a set has the elements A, B, C and D, then the identity relation will have only four pairs: A, A, B, B, C, C and D, D. So the cardinality of the identity relation is same as the cardinality of the set. Now let us discuss further. Now let us discuss the properties of relations. The properties of relations are basically categorized under three categories. We have reflexivity property, we have symmetricity property, and we have transitivity property. Under reflexivity, we have three types of relations. We have reflexive relations, irreflexive relations, and non-reflexive relations. Now, one important thing over here is that any relation that you have, it must fall under one of the three categories. Either the relation has to be reflexive, or it should be irreflexive, or it should be non-reflexive. Second category of properties is the symmetricity property. Under this, we have three types of relations. We have symmetric relations, we have asymmetric relations, and we have anti-symmetric relations. Now, the interesting fact over here is, unlike reflexivity, it is not necessary for a relation to fall under these three categories. That means you may have a symmetric relation, you may have an asymmetric relation, you may have an anti-symmetric relation, you might have certain relations which do not fall under any of the three categories, or you might have relations which are falling under symmetric and anti-symmetric both categories. Then third, we have the transitivity, under which we have only a single category, which is the transitive relations, and based on these properties we can define equivalent relations and partially ordered relations. Let's proceed. Let's first talk about the reflexive relations, right? A reflexive relation is nothing but a binary relation where each element of the set is related to itself. I'll repeat, a relation which is defined on a set, obviously it is defined on a single set, where each element of the set is related to itself is called a reflexive relation. You can see over here this particular symbol, this means for every. What it means is, for every element A belonging to the set A comma A should belong to the relation, or in other words, A should be related to A. Say for example, if A is the set 1, 2, 3, then the relation that is given 1, 1, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 3, it is a reflexive relation. As you can see, 1 is related to 1, as 1 comma 1 pair is there, 2 comma 2 pair is there, and 3 comma 3 pair is there. That means 1 is related to 1, 2 is related to 2, and 3 is related to 3. What it means is, all the elements of the set are related to themselves. Please understand, I am not saying that they should be related only to themselves, but they should be related to themselves. As another example, we can take a relation R defined on the set of integers as A related to B if A plus B is even, is reflexive. Why? If you take any number, any integer, and you add it to itself, if you take any integer and add it to itself, the result will always be an even number, right? So this relation is a reflexive relation. Now let us clearly identify the difference between the reflexive relation and the identity relation. They seem similar. An identity relation is one which has only the pairs where an element is related to itself, whereas a reflexive relation will have the pairs where the element are related to itself, and it might have other pairs also. Say for example, in this example that we have taken, A is equal to 1, 2, 3, the identity relation would have had only 3 pairs, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. Whereas the reflexive relation can have other pairs also. I am not saying that it has to have other pairs, but it can have other pairs. Therefore, we can say that every identity relation is a reflexive relation. But every reflexive relation might not be a identity relation, because in a reflexive relation there might be other pairs also. So every identity relation is reflexive, but not vice versa. If a set A has n distinct elements, then there are 2 to the power n into n minus 1 reflexive relations that can be defined on A. Right? I leave it to you to ponder over it. Right? The second property in the reflexivity category is irreflexive relations. That is exact opposite of reflexive relations. A binary relation R on a set A is said to be irreflexive if no element of the set A is related to itself. Please remember, in case of reflexivity, we said that every element of the set must be related to itself. Here we are saying that none of the elements should be related to itself. Right? That means for elements A belonging to the set A comma A pair should not be present in the relation R. Let's take this example. If A is equal to 1, 2, 3, then the relation 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, it is an irreflexive relation. As you can say, neither the pair 1, 1, nor the pair 2, 2, nor the pair 3, 3 is present in the relation. As another example, we can take a relation R defined on the set of integers as A related to B if and only if A is greater than B is irreflexive, as you cannot tell me any number which is greater than itself. You think over it, there is no number which will be greater than itself. So the number that this particular relation is irreflexive. Now let us talk about the third category under the reflexivity property, which is non-reflexive relations. A relation which cannot be categorized as either reflexive or irreflexive is called a non-reflexive relation. Right? I'll repeat, a relation which is neither reflexive nor irreflexive is called a non-reflexive relation. What it means is, there should be at least one element in the set which is related to itself, which will make the set non-irreflexive. If all the elements will not be related to themselves, then it will become irreflexive. So there must be at least one element which is related to itself, so that it is not an irreflexive relation. And there must be at least one element which is not related to itself. Why? Because if all the elements are related to themselves, it will become a reflexive relation. But if there is at least one element which is not related to itself, it will not be a reflexive relation. So this relation is neither reflexive nor irreflexive. Then it is called a non-reflexive relation. Let's take this example. If A is equal to 1, 2, 3, then the relation R, which is defined as 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1. Right? This is a non-reflexive relation. As you can see, 1, 1 pair is not present in the relation, so it cannot be a reflexive relation. Similarly, 3, 3 pair is not present, so it cannot be a reflexive relation. But 2, 2 pair is there in the relation. That means it cannot be a irreflexive relation. So it cannot be a reflexive relation, it cannot be an irreflexive relation, so therefore it is a non-reflexive relation. Let's take another example. Please see this example carefully. A relation R defined on the set of integers as A related to B if and only if B is equal to 1 by A is non-reflexive. Now before I proceed any further, please understand one thing. I am saying that the relation is defined on the set of integers, right? That means both the elements A as well as B are coming from the set of integers. You cannot have 0.5 as one of the elements. All the elements, either they are the first elements of the pair or the second elements of the pair, will have to be from the set of integers. Now you can see this is non-reflexive, as except for 1, 1 and minus 1, minus 1, there are no other AA pairs. Except for 1 and minus 1, can you give me any integer whose reciprocal is also an integer? You cannot. Take any integer, take its reciprocal, you will get a fraction, except for 1 and minus 1. So as 1, 1 and minus 1 pair are there, that means it cannot be an irreflexive relation. As you can say, there are a number of elements which are not related to themselves, like 2 is not related to itself. Why? Because 1 by 2 is 0.5, which is not an integer, so it cannot be a reflexive relation. So this is a non-reflexive relation. Let's come to the next category of properties, which was the symmetricity property. Under symmetricity property, if you remember, we had three properties: symmetric, asymmetric and anti-symmetric relations. Let's talk about the first one, symmetric relations. A relation R is said to be symmetric if we can say that A is related to B implies that B is also related to A. Please remember, A related to B pairs are coming from the Cartesian product. Cartesian product of A cross B, and B related to A pairs will come either from the Cartesian product of B cross A, or they will come from the inverse of the relation, right? So what am I saying is, if I can say that A related to B also implies that B related to A, then we can say that the relation is symmetric. Or in other words, if the relation and its inverse are equal, then we can say that if you remember, what was the inverse of the relation? Same pairs, but the position of the first and second element was interchanged. Let's take a simple example. If A is equal to 1, 2, 3, then the relation 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1 is a symmetric relation. Why? Because as 1, 2 is there, 2, 1 is also there. 1, 3 is there, 3, 1 is also there. And 2, 2 is there implies that 2, 2 is also there. So whenever there is a pair A comma B, there is also a pair B comma A. So this is a symmetric relation. We can take another relation, which is again a relation defined on set of integers as A related to B if and only if A plus B is odd, is symmetric. as the addition operation is commutative. Whatever is the result of A plus B is same as the result of B plus A. So if A plus B is odd, B plus A will also be odd. So any pair that is present, A comma B pair, B comma A pair will also be present in the relation. Now identity relation is also a symmetric relation. Why? Because just see, if I see the identity relation of the example that I've given here 1, 2, 3, then the identity relation will have the pairs 1, 1, 2, 2 and 3, 3. And these pairs by nature are symmetric pairs. A comma B 1 comma 1, B comma A 1 comma 1. So the identity relation is symmetric in nature. If the set A has n distinct elements, then there are 2 to the power n into n plus 1 divided by 2 symmetric relations that can be defined on the set. Right? I leave it up to you to think over it, ponder and try to verify it. So this was about the symmetric relations. Now the next property in the symmetricity is the asymmetric relations. Now asymmetric relation basically means that if I have a comma B pair in the relation, then B comma A pair should not be present in the relation. In other words, I can say that if for a given set an element A is related to B, then the element B should not be related to the element A. Right? Let's take a simple example. This I've given the set A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and the relation 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3 is there. Now this is an asymmetric relation. As you can see, whenever a pair is there, then its inverse pair is not present. Say for example, for 1, 2, 1, 2 is present in the relation but 2, 1 is not present. 1, 3 is present in the relation but 3, 1 is not present. 2, 4 is present in the relation but 4, 2 is not present. 3, 2 is present in the relation but 2, 3 is not present. Similarly, 4, 3 is present in the relation but 3, 4 is not present in the relation. A relation defined on the set of integers as A related to B if A is greater than B is also asymmetric. Just think over it. If I give you any two numbers, any two distinct numbers, if one number is greater than the other number, it cannot be the other way around. Say for example, 3 is greater than 2, but 2 can never be greater than 3. So this relation is also asymmetric in nature. This brings us to the third property in the symmetricity category, which is the anti-symmetric relations. Let's stop here for a moment. Remember, in case of reflexivity, we had three types of relations: reflexive, irreflexive and non-reflexive. And a relation had to be of one or the other type. See, the relation can either be reflexive or it can be irreflexive, and if it is neither reflexive nor irreflexive, it has to be non-reflexive relation. But anti-symmetricity is not like that. What I mean is, if a relation is symmetric, means for every A comma B, there can be a B comma A, there has to be a B comma A pair. When I say asymmetric, means for any A comma B pair, B comma A pair cannot be there. But anti-symmetry does not mean that the relation is neither symmetric nor asymmetric. That means some A comma B and B comma A pairs are there and some of them are not there. It's not like that. It is an entirely different ball game. What anti-symmetricity says that A comma B and B comma A pairs can exist. Both these pairs can coexist, but only when A is equal to B. Let me repeat. A is related to B and B is related to A. Both these conditions can be possible if and only if. Both these conditions can be possible together simultaneously if and only if A is equal to B. Right? Let's take this example. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and we have defined the relation 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4. Now this is an anti-symmetric relation. As you can see, for 1, 2 pair, 2, 1 is not there. For 1, 3 pair, 3, 1 is not there. For 3, 2 pair, 2, 3 is not there. For 4, 3 pair, 3, 4 is not there. But For 2-2 pair, 2-2 pair is there. For 4-4 pair, 4-4 pair is there. What it means is 1 related to 2 but 2 is not related to 1. 1 related to 3 but 3 is not related to 1. But 2 is related to 2 and 2 is related to 2 because 2 is equal to 2. Similarly, if we can take another example, a relation which is defined on the set of integers as a related to b if and only if a greater than equal to b. Greater than equal to, please note this. Previous example that we took in case of asymmetric was a greater than b. This is a greater than equal to b. Now, the only possibility for both a greater than equal to b and b greater than equal to a, both to coexist, is only when a is equal to b, right? Just let's take an example. If I say 3 is greater than equal to 2, then 2 is not greater than equal to 3. If I say 5 is greater than equal to 4, I know that 4 is not greater than equal to 4. Now the only possibility is 5 is greater than or equal to 5 and 5 is greater than or equal to 5. So both these pairs a comma b and b comma a pairs can coexist if and only if a is equal to b. Unlike reflexivity, the relation need not fall into one of the three categories. There may be relations which are neither symmetric nor asymmetric nor antisymmetric. There might be certain relations. Say for example, let's take the relation set 1, 2, 3 and I have defined the relation R. Now this is not a symmetric relation. Why? Because 1, 3 is there but 3, 1 is not there. Therefore, this is not a symmetric relation. Now, this is not a asymmetric relation. Why? Because for 1, 2, 2, 1 is there. And it is not a anti-symmetric relation. Why? Because for 1, 2, 2, 1 is there, but 1 is not equal to 2. So, this relation is neither symmetric, nor asymmetric, nor anti-symmetric. So there might be relations which are falling under multiple categories. Say identity relation, it is a symmetric relation as well as a anti-symmetric relation, right? Now that brings us to the last category of the relation properties, which is the transitivity property. Under that we only have one type of relations, which is called the transitive relations. Now, transitive relation means if A is related to B and B is related to C, it should imply that A is also related to C. That means if A comma B pair and B comma C pair are present in the relation R, then A comma C pair should also be present in the relation R. Let's take the example, the set 1, 2, 3 and I have defined the relation 1, 2, 2, 3 and 1, 3. Now this is transitive. As you can see, 1 is related to 2 and 2 is related to 3. It implies that 1 is related to 3. Right? For every A comma B pair and B comma C pair, there should be a comma C pair. Now please pay attention over here. I am saying for every A comma B and B comma C pair, right? For every A comma B and B comma C pair, A comma C pair should be there, right? The relation R defined on the set of integers as A related to B if and only if A plus B is even is transitive. Let's think over it. Let's say there are two numbers A and B and their sum is even. Now there are two possibilities. Either the numbers are both even or the numbers are both odd. So let us take the first case. A is even and B is even. Now let us take another pair B, C and their sum is also even. We have already said that B is even. That means an even number added to another even number will be even number. So A is even, B is even and C is even. So obviously A plus C both being even numbers will also give me an even number. Now let's take the other case. Let us say A and B are odd. That means their sum is even. As B is odd and B plus C is going to be even, so C will also be odd. So A is odd, B is odd and C is odd. So A and C both being odd will again give a total of a even number. So this relation is a transitive relation. Let's take another example. The relation R defined on the set of integers as A plus B is odd is not transitive. It is not necessary that if A plus B is odd and B plus C is odd, then A plus C is also odd. Let's take a simple case. Let us take A as 2 and B as 1. So 2 plus 1 is odd. Let's take B as 1 and C as 4. So 1 plus 4 is again 5, which is odd, but A plus C, 2 plus 4 is 6, which is not odd. So this is not a transitive relation. Once again, let's take another example. The relation R defined on the set of lines. Now, it's not necessary that we define the relation only of numbers or alphabets. We can have a relation of set of lines. As A related to B if and only if A is parallel to B, it is transitive. If line A is parallel to line B, which is parallel to line C, so obviously the line A will be parallel to the line C. So this is also an example of a now, based on the three types of properties that we have just studied, the reflexivity, symmetricity and transitivity property, we can define two special categories of relations, which is equivalent and partially ordered relation. Before going into that, let's have a small recap. A reflexive relation is where every element is related to itself. Irreflexive relation is where none of the elements are related to itself. Non-reflexive relation means a relation which is neither reflexive nor irreflexive. Symmetric relation means for every A comma B pair, there should be a B comma A pair. Asymmetric relation means for any of the A comma B pairs, there should not be a B comma A pair. And antisymmetric relation means for A comma B pair, B comma A pair can only exist if and only if A is related to B. And transitivity means if A is related to B and B is related to A, then A should be related to C. Right? A related to B and B related to C implies that A is related to C. Now, an equivalent relation is a relation which is reflexive, symmetric and transitive in nature. All the three properties must be satisfied for the relation to be called an equivalent relation. That means the relation must be reflexive. That means every element should be related to itself. It should be symmetric. That means if A is related to B, then B should also be related to A. And it should be transitive in nature. That means if A is related to B and B is related to C, then A should be related to C. Right? Let's take this example. The relation defined on set of integers as A related to B if A minus B is divisible by 6 is an equivalent relation. Right? I leave it to you to verify this. How do you verify it? You verify that this relation is reflexive. You have to verify that this relation is symmetric, and you have to verify that this relation is transitive. I leave it up to you to verify the three properties. Another example, the relation defined on the set of integers as A related to B if and only if A plus B is even is an equivalent relation. All the examples that I'm going to give over here, I'm not going to verify them or I'm not going to explain them to you. I'm giving them to you to think over it and verify that whatever is written over here is true. Then another very special type of relation over which we will devote a number of lectures later on is the partially ordered relation. A partially ordered relation is one which is reflexive, antisymmetric and transitive. Please check. The relation has to be reflexive, antisymmetric and transitive in nature. Again, a couple of examples. The relation defined on the set of integers as A greater than equal to B is a partially ordered relation. And the relation defined on the set of integers as A divides B is a partially ordered relation. Once again, you have to verify on your own whether these two relations are reflexive, antisymmetric and transitive in nature. Now this brings us to the end of the properties of relations. Once again, if there are any doubts, you can post them on the discussion forum and I will resolve those queries. Thank you.